signing protocol on page 185.
And we have plenty of horror stories on that one, right?
Absolutely.
So, and Greg, you probably can back us up on that. Let's go ahead and ask those questions, please.
All right. First one is, who opens the mail in your store? Office manager? Cashier? Who else? Dealer? Controller? Who should be opening the mail?
Me.
Who is me?
Dealer.
There you go. Why is that, Helen?
Because it doesn't matter who you know, no matter how much trust you have, God, you know, the prophet said, trust in God and tie up your camels, right? And that basically tells you that an open safe will make a thief out of an honest man sometime. And if your controller, for example, decides one day that she has a really good, solid urge to go and have a really fun time in Vegas, there's nothing you can do to stop her. Unless you have those procedures. And we know of a lot of good people, some real good car guys. I'm talking about legends. Like my goal in life to be as good as they are, where they wake up one morning and the controller has all kind of control from, you know, opening mail to access to this and that, and they call him at 8 o'clock in the morning, he's not there. Call him at 9 o'clock in the morning, he's not there. Call him 10 o'clock in the morning, he's not there. He calls the bank, he's $1 million overdrawn with another $1.5 million worth of floor plan that just got pounded the day before. $2.5 million, have a nice life. Now that particular guy tells you what a car horse he is. He actually went out one car at a time, sold it, made the money, and stayed in business. I couldn't do it. Could you, Bill? $2.5 million, and you don't have it? You're overdrawn $1 million. But he stayed in business. But do you want to try to find out if you're that good or not? I'd rather not. I'd rather just protect myself.
The mail is directed to the dealership, right? It doesn't say comptroller? Cashier.
I'm going to jump in here.
Who owns the dealership is the dealer. And that's the only person who should open the mail and then distribute the mail. Now, I'm going to tell you, from personal experience, that is a pain to do. Charles, how about it? You like opening the mail?
I only get the bank statements, that kind of stuff. I probably should have.
Yes, you should, yes.
What they can do when I'm gone from the
I understand. I understand. But as a principal,
You learn more by opening the mail than you think you're going to learn.
Right.
You really do. When I first started working with dealers in the 80s, they put me one day at a desk right here, and you're the dealer. This guy was about 85 years old, extremely, extremely successful dealer. And you talk about being intimidated. I had to sit there and work all day long before computers with this guy staring at me all day long. I was intimidated as could be. And he was a great, great dealer, multimillionaire. But every morning at 85 years old, he would drive to the post office to get the mail. Or if he didn't go, it was delivered directly to his desk. He opened every piece of paper, sorted it into piles, stayed at the store an hour or two, signed a few checks, and went home. But he knew what was going on in his dealership every single day because he opened the mail and he signed the checks. If you control the mail and control the checkbook, you know what's happening for the most part.
Speaking of, can we go with the second question, Bill?
yes, where's the bank statement sent?
Exactly right. I don't know if you heard what she said, but if it goes to the comptroller, she can open it up, and all those checks she doesn't want anybody to ever see, she can take them and shred them. So that every other check that she wrote to herself, she shreds them. Nobody sees it. That's a little harder than it used to be to do because now you get the actual printouts in a lot of cases of the checks themselves. And a lot of times you got online access. If you're the dealer, you can log in and look at your account. But if you still get the actual hard copy of the check, you want the dealer to open the checks, the bank statement.
Is there a question?
I just want to say one thing. I've got a dealer, he's a very successful dealer. A guy's got more money than you can shake his... But anyway, we were at a meeting. His general manager was sitting beside him, and he says, I love all of my employees, but I don't trust any of them. And his GM sitting right beside him. And I said, Ed, how do you feel about that? And he says, well, that's Ted, and I understand. He's the man. And that's the way it should be. I mean, because it's just too much temptation to allow anybody the opportunity to be able to steal from you. And you don't ever know what the situation is going to be or whatever's going to happen. And unfortunately, so many times what we find what happens is the person that's stealing from you is one of your most loyal, trusted, longest-term employees that you've had.
Yes.
Because they feel that you're not paying attention.
And those are the people that hurt you a lot. I mean, it's real easy to find out when somebody's stealing a gas card or stealing writing an RO to take care of his mom's car. But those guys that are real, that we really trust, they're the one that can hurt you with multiple thousands of dollars, and
Well,
sometimes
yeah.
it's out of business hurt.
Well, you got to assume that every employee is going to steal from you. Somebody's going to take a staple gun, or they're going to take Scotch tape, or take copy paper, whatever. I mean, that's just going to happen. Just don't let them get the big stuff. Don't let them get the big stuff. All right, next is who signs checks? Is that it? They're not countersigned? 2 people? And there's the dealer, general manager? In some cases, a general sales manager also. Charles?
I just signed it myself. Is there a reason why I should add somebody?
Because you're gone for a week?
They just sign your name and put their initials when you're out of town? Anything like that? You leave a stack of signed checks for them to use?
Charles Rashid is just an expert at floating everybody. So when he doesn't want to pay somebody,
Including
tell
you,
him I'm
right?
out of a week.
Including you.
For massive amounts of money. And so we sat down with our bank, and they recommended us getting onto this. We weren't responsible for any of it, obviously, because it was fraudulent. But we sat down with our bank and came up with this little system. BB&T has it called Positive Pay, that no matter what check you issue, not only 2 people have to be on the signature card, but then when the check is sent out, it is not paid. It's uploaded into a system, and it has to be okayed by either a dealer or a comptroller nightly before the money is distributed. So we write the check. We explain to anybody that we're writing the check that it has to be okayed in the Positive Pay system before it's actually even paid. So if we have a customer that gives us a $500 down payment, and they wind up not wanting to put it down as a deposit on a car, we refund them the check, but we tell them you cannot cash this check for at least 1 day because due to our accounting system we have to okay the paying of that check, and so it's an extra security measure that makes sure that nobody's taking money from you that way either.
Do you run into problems with the guys who need to run out and cash a check that day?
No.
Not so far. That's good. Is it expensive?
No.
Good.
Very, very, very,
A lot of
cost
times
effective.
banks come out with these products and you wind up spending $2,000 or $3,000 a month before you know
No.
it. So it's good.
No, it's included in our checking account, actually.
It sounds like it's a pretty positive, another control system, another control point. If you're signing checks,
I've signed some, but like right now I can go on my bank and look at every single check that's cleared, and I look at that daily.
but since you're here, if somebody comes in and needs a check today, what are they gonna
I
do?
signed a few of them. I have the check numbers. They could get me, but I would catch it pretty quick.
Okay. The reason why I think that the dual signature is often good, and even to have somebody else beside you to be able to sign, you should still sign every one that you possibly can, is theoretically when the office manager or whoever's requesting that check signs it, they're saying this is an authorized purchase. I've reviewed all the documentation, I've checked it out, and by me signing this check, I'm agreeing that the dealership ought to expend this money. And then you've got hopefully some level of confidence in them. I'd still get the backup to it and review it myself, but then you can co-sign the check. And you can set it up with your bank, by the way, that you can be the sole signer if you're the dealer and not have to have a second signature. And then if you're out, it requires a dual signature while you're gone.
When we were running our dealerships, let's say the general manager and the owner and the office manager, all 3 are gone, we always set up a small account where the GSM can write a check up to $1,000 or $1,500, but no more. And that's only for customer service sake. If you have a customer and we owe him his money, we want to pay him. We don't want to sling him around going back and forth. That could cost us thousands of dollars versus us, I want to control my money. No, I want to build my business.
Right.
I want to build my business and I want to take care of my customers, but I also want to have a good eye on my money. So we kind of set these things up. Now, Lawson had a question up here.
It's just as it relates to some accounts you pay online, like American Express and other things of that nature. Do you feel that that's something you should do, or should you issue a check for all internal expenses?
It's harder to track when you're doing it online. I know it's becoming more and more and more common, and I think that's the way our economy is going to go. Maybe one day we don't have checks anymore. But you better have very, very tight control over that process. Who can log in, who can access the account, equal or higher control to who can sign a check.
What do you think of paying all the dealership bills with American Express?
The problem is control again. Who's got that number? I know in my business, it seems like every employee in my office has my American Express card, and at the end of the month, I'm looking at the statement saying, what the heck do we buy here? That's part of the problem you get into. If everybody's got your credit card, or if you've given everybody a credit card, they can make a spot decision to make a purchase that may not be in the best interest of the dealership. If they're at Office Depot and they need copier paper because their printer ran out today, and they buy a few reams of paper and bring it back, you may have just placed an order for a ton of paper to be coming in that you're stocking in the back, and you're paying double what you could have bought it for otherwise. This is the expense control issue that Bill was talking about earlier.
I believe with proper control, though, you can manage it, and there's nothing wrong with getting $1 million worth of points that you can use for travel or for training. I mean, when we sent people for training classes, for example, and we paid with American Express, you get, we spent $25,000 on training every month. And then there is another $5,000 in travel, and what we did is we just used the American Express points to do it. But again, make sure that you have equal controls on that credit card as you have on your check. Charles, you have a question?
I'm in the process of setting that up now with American Express, and I'm requesting from each vendor that it doesn't get paid unless I have a signed purchase order that I fax to them.
Here we go. That's the next question. Who signs the POs? Here we go. Thanks, Charles.
Who signs the POs?
Me.
Anybody else?
Who signs the POs, guys?
You sign every PO for the store? Parts, used cars, everything? No.
Bill, what do you think?
Department managers sign them. And then they're reconciled in the business office.
They need to be pre-numbered in some way. You need to have control over the POs because it's spending your money. You should have very clear policies on who can issue what PO for what. If a parts manager can issue POs, he can buy theoretically anything. So you should have very tight control over what he's allowed to purchase and what he's not allowed to purchase. Because if you're out and they need a PO and he's the only other guy in the store who can write a PO, they're going to run back to him and say, hey, I need copier paper. Would you call the PO in? Should he be allowed to do that or not? I don't think so.
Lawson, in your business, do you have POs? And do you all use POs?
No, not yet. I've got 22 American Express cards, but 110,000 points in my head spinning.
Do you set limits on how much each person can charge? No.
You will sooner or later.
How did I know that was coming, Bill?
Yeah, exactly.
Frank?
I think it depends on the department situation. I know we have meetings twice a month, and the dealer sets the guideline on that. He said the parts department's allowed to do this, and I'm allowed to do that. We pretty much watch that pretty close. But I think it depends on the situation.
But you have a policy.
Yeah.
That's
There
what
you
I'm
go.
saying.
Is that a very good point, guys? It's not let's just make it up as we go. We have a policy. We know what's going on and what's up.